Hey there. I've made this blank tier list for every train in Stepford County Railway, and by the end of this video this will be entirely filled in. The rankings for this tier list, from bottom to top, are the worst, bad, okay, great, and the best, and we will be putting every train into one of these 5 rankings. Before we start the rankings, I want to let you know that you can make your own tier list. I'll be leaving the link to the website in the description to this video for you to make your own. I will also be leaving a Twitter thread for you to leave your own tier list in the description as well. If we get enough different tier lists, I will make a follow-up video going over your tier lists. I want to also quickly mention this video is purely my own opinion, so please don't be too upset if I leave your favorite train in the bad section. But with that stated, let's start the rankings. For this video I will be starting with my least favorite trains, and work our way up the tier list. Here are my least favorite trains in Stepford County Railway: the Class 508, Class 321, Class 319, and Class 465. All of these are extremely low quality to say the least. You will never see these 4 trains when you drive in a public server because every other train is better in every way. Something worse about these trains is that they still have pixelated liveries, making them even worse to look at. These just aren't anywhere near the quality of the meshed trains we have been receiving. Here are 3 trains that are bad, but nowhere near as bad as the previous 4 trains. In this tier we have the Class 158, Class 68, and Class 755. I'll talk about these individually since, unlike the last trains, my thoughts are different for each of these. We'll start off with my least favorite in this tier, the Class 158. This train is the oldest model in the game, being added all the way back in version 1.3. That was in 2019, which makes this model of the Class 158 almost 4 years old. This train, when you compare it to the much more modern mesh trains, is low quality. But even then it's still quite a nice train to drive, even if it is very old. Next up is the Class 68. The reason I've ranked this train so low is because it is just a much weaker model compared to other trains that share its attributes. The main train I'm referring to is the Class 444. These trains can both drive the 2 longest routes in terms of distance, so it's no surprise that everyone would drive the Class 444 on these routes since it's higher quality. And even if you want to drive a locomotive, just drive the HST. That is also a much higher quality. And our final train for this tier is the Class 755, the newest train. What went wrong? This train is down here because it was so obviously rushed. You can't drive this route past 2 stations without despawning. I tried driving this train 3 times for Community Timelapse 21, and I could not get past Stepford Airport Central. The model is actually really nice though, I really like the cab, but I just can't like the train if it doesn't even begin to function. Here's our largest tier. Most of these trains I feel no strong feelings neither for, nor against. As such I will be skipping over most of the trains in this tier. All the trains in this tier are on screen for you to see though. We will start off with the Class 345, the terminal shuttle train. Why is this so expensive? It may be the longest train, sure, but it comes with 1 route. At max this should have only costed 3,000 points, because 4,500 points is a total rip-off. If you want to drive through every airport station on Airlink, just drive R058. This stops at every terminal station whilst only costing 450 points. It's 10 times cheaper. I will say it is a nice model though. I really find the interior unique and the cab is also very nice. The Class 165 and Class 166 are our next trains to talk about. These are our last non-meshed trains, and these are actually very nice. These trains do have the old interior design and pixelated livery, however they are not as bad as the other non-meshed trains. The cab is also very nice. You get a very large front window to get a nice view of your route. I really do like them, and I'm sure I'll like them a lot more once they get meshed. The Class 458 is up next. I actually have different opinions for each version of this train, however I forgot to include the -0 version of this train in this list. Both variants have the same cab, so I can say the cab is alright for both of the variants, but it's the exterior where my opinions differ with both of these. I do not like the front of the -0. What even is this? It's like they wanted to add a gangway but removed it right as it entered service. The -5 actually has a gangway, and it looks a lot better. The interior is also different, however it's minimal and I don't really care about what the interiors look like for these trains in all honesty. We will now jump past a lot of trains and now talk about the Class 170. I like to group this train with the Class 171 and Class 357, however in this tier list it isn't like that. I will keep this brief because everything is mostly the same across the three trains, so I will just say that I think the front of the train does not work with the Stepford Connect livery. It's clearly based off the first Trans-Pennine Express Class 170, and with that purple livery I think it actually looks nice, but with the very dark blue of Stepford Connect, I'm not a fan. And our last trains for the OK tier we have the IETs. These are actually quite nice trains, however there is something that irks me with both of them. This hole in the cab. What's the deal with this? These clearly aren't a thing in real life, so why is it a thing in this game? This isn't just a new issue either. It's been a thing since the trains got meshed, and that was towards the end of 2020, before I even started making content. Everything else about these trains are really nice. I definitely think the Airlink livery suits these better than the Express livery, but regardless I still quite like them. Here's where the trains start getting good. I find everything about the rest of the trains extremely positive. In the great tier we have got the Class 444, Class 143, Class 171, Class 357, and the Voyagers. We will start off with the Class 444. I've already said that this is a better train for running services from Lynn to either Stepford Victoria or Willowfield. This is a long train, it fits the Stepford Connect livery and the cab is also very nice. This isn't a nitpick, but it is very hard to distinguish this from the Class 350 at times. Even the cabs are nearly identical. But I'm not complaining, both trains are very nice. The Class 143 is up now. I wasn't a huge fan of the Pacers when they were in service for Northern Rail, however I actually quite like the SCR version. This is by far the shortest train in the game. The size of this train when it's next to a 5-car HST on the new reline is almost comedic. The cab is also really nice, and I find it odd that passengers can just walk up to the driver. Here's the Class 171 and Class 357 now. When I talk about these trains, do note that I will also be talking about the Class 170 with everything except the exterior. These trains are really nice, and out of every train in SCR, the Class 357 suits being the default train. It feels like the perfect length, it can run a very large number of routes, it suits the Stepford Connect livery, and when you think of trains in SCR, this tends to be the first train that jumps to mind. The Class 171 is pretty much the same way, though it is on waterline and hence runs on less routes unless it's April the 1st. This is the second best waterline train, and if you've been paying attention then you will know what my favorite train on waterline is. The cabs for all three of these trains are also very nice. I really enjoy driving these. And lastly for the great tier we have both of the Voyagers. I could compare these to the Voyagers in British Railway, but I'll refrain and just talk about why I like them in SCR. The cab is really nice, it feels like you are a perfect distance from the front window. These also look really nice in the Stepford Express livery, a lot better than the Class 801 in my opinion. And that's all I can think of from the top of my head. Even though I haven't got much to say, it doesn't mean it isn't great. Here is the final tier, my favorite trains in Stepford County Railway. Here we have the HST, Class 350, Class 185, and the Civities. All of these are outstanding in one way or another. Let's start off with the HST. This is my go-to train when I want to drive on Stepford Express. It is the longest train that can stop at more than 5 stations. The cab is very nice, being my favorite from Stepford Express. It also has another variant with some buffers coming out the front. I'm not a fan of this variant, however it definitely doesn't ruin the train. This is definitely the better train with locomotives in the game, something I've said earlier when talking about the Class 68. Overall I really like this train. It is definitely the best on Stepford Express. Now for the Class 350. This is the fastest train on Stepford Connect, and we utilize it a lot for all the stations. I really enjoy driving this train when I'm driving to Lynn. I've also said that this train is very similar to the Class 444, with both the exterior and the cab. And I don't think that's a bad thing at all. Both trains are excellent, I just prefer this one more. The Class 185 is up now, a train I actually see fairly often in real life. This is my favorite train to drive on Airlink when I'm not doing a direct route. This was the first train in SCR to get a double consist. And I always use that consist because I prefer the longer trains. The cab is very nice, and the train suits both the Stepford Connect and Airlink liveries. I also really like this train just because it is one of the trains I see the most when I'm outside. And now for my favorite trains in Stepford County Railway and in real life, the Class 195 and Class 331 Civity trains. These trains are very nice. I love the cab, it's simple yet really nice. The interior is also spot on with real life, and the Class 331 gets even better with its Trainbow livery. You always get to see the Civity when you're driving, and that is never a bad thing. It just goes to show how great this train is. And there's my tier list for every train in Stepford County Railway. What placement surprised you the most? And how different is your tier list? A quick reminder that you can make your own tier list and post it in the Twitter thread found with the top links in the description. These will be used for a future video. And that's all I think that needs to be said, so I'll wrap this video up. Thanks for watching, feel free to like and subscribe, it helps me and the channel out a lot, and I'll see you in the next video.